Listen, you remind me of a dream. Best looking girl that I've ever seen. Look into my heart, could you tell me what it means? Put your glasses on. Can you see? Can you read in between the lines of my love? You shine like the sun is above. I want you. You say you wanna be the only one. I cuff you. I be your husband. Cause all them dudes is has-beens. Life is a headache. DT, your aspirins. I know they treat you colder than Aspen. Man, that's Greece like Athens. You might as well date it, Ashton. I can give you what
So
you want.
basically, what happened was there's no service in Cuba whatsoever. None.
Unless you have a Wi-Fi card.
And I didn't even get that. I didn't buy it. I just had the address to where she was staying in Cuba because she was going out there for 2 weeks.
I actually went by myself to celebrate my birthday because it was like you were supposed to be apartment hunting or something like because you were leaving or moving, and I wanted to just go to celebrate my 25th birthday because and I wanted, of course, you want your friends to come with, but my friend, she just came back from Puerto Rico, so a trip to Cuba and Puerto Rico financially, that would have been tough for her. So I've always wanted to go to Cuba because I've seen, the movie Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights, the second part of Dirty Dancing. It didn't do that well in the box office, but it was shot in Cuba. And I remember 7th grade, I saw them dancing, and the Cuban music just felt so natural in that movie, and it felt so amazing. I had such a genuine connection with that movie when I was about 12 or 13. And I was like, I want to go to Havana. I want to go to Havana because I saw that movie and I was like, I need to go there to experience this rich culture, this rich music, the colors, the music, the life. I need to go there. And at 12, Google wasn't really a thing at 12 years old. This was 2005, maybe? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't really just go on Google. You gotta have a you had the old wonky laptops that were the dial-up. So I looked up. You couldn't travel to Cuba. You couldn't. There was no possible way for me to go to Cuba as a 12-year-old in 2000 whatever, because the embargo was still there. And so I was like, you know what? This is gonna be on my bucket list. Before I die or whatever, at 12, I was like, before I die, I need to go to Cuba. So on my 25th birthday, which was January 26th, I booked me a ticket to go to Cuba this year.
So maybe you should tell everything that happened what you were just crying about from your perspective.
So I was just crying because I just got so emotional. Of course, this jazz music in the background is not helping anything.
Coltrane, Giant Steps, Naima. If you haven't heard that record, check it out.
And the name of this vlog is The Myth of Black Romance. And so I was crying because when I went to Cuba, I went alone, of course, and that phase of our relationship was the situationship phase. You know how when someone falls for you and you're not there yet, and all of a sudden a couple of months later I was playing catch up, but then you weren't there anymore.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
It happens, yeah, man, it happens. Or you like him, you love him. It's like, where you at? You're coming with me? You're not, just really getting emotional because you came in between my trip. You came in between my 3 days or 4 days of me staying there.
No, I mean the whole thing. When you pulled up to the block and I was across the street.
All right, so this is what happened, right? So I knew his flight was going to land, was it February, whatever day it was. And I know the flight, I know the time and everything. And this time I've already spent 3 days in Cuba. It was the most amazing time of my 25 years of living I've ever had. And so I know the time of his flight. And I know the place where he was staying, his address to his hostel. Not his hostel, because I stayed at the hostel. He's staying in a private house. Bougie or what? I went by myself. I stayed in the hostel, all right? Because I want to meet other people. This is what happened. That morning I woke up. I went to the markets with my little Spanish. I was like, ¿cuánto es? So I was getting some fruits and whatever. And I was having a great time walking through the markets, walking through the streets. And I was like, all right, for something. He's supposed to be here. So I literally went over to his place, And I was asking the guys outside in what little Spanish I know. Because people saw me walking up and down the blocks looking for the address. I couldn't find the place. And it was on La Amistad. He stayed on La Amistad. Like the ship, you know, the African. Anyways. And I was asking the guys, and they were like, no one's here. Like, and I was like, Negron, you know, he probably has a hat, like my hair, like I was pulling at my little nappy hair, like, you know, my hair. And he was like, yeah, he's not here. He's not. And I was like, what? And I knocked on his door, and no one was there. This door was like, you know these doors that you cannot penetrate? It was one of those doors. It wasn't even a wooden door. It was a weird door. So I felt hopeless when I saw that black door. Like, it was like impenetrable.
It's one of those joints that you see in a bank.
Yeah.
Like, that's how heavy that door was.
I felt hopeless. Trust.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. I walked all the way from, because I was staying, where was I staying? Infanta, something else. Infanta, the main street was Infanta and San Miguel.
San Miguel, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like about a 15, 17-minute walk, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, about that, like a 15-minute walk. So it's hot in Cuba as well, too. And then you have people say, mommy, not mommy, but they'll do that all the time. So I was trying to avoid everything. So I gave up. After walking around my little bags, whatever I had, I gave up. So I literally was like, Kita, just get a BC taxi. The best thing in Cuba when you're in Havana is to take a BC taxi. Always. And what's a BC taxi? Think of a bicycle and a taxi. Like, you know the little people on the bicycle and they're pulling you along the back. It's so fun. It's so fun. And so I took a BC taxi and the guy charged me like 3 coops or whatever. He overcharged me for that because, you know, I'm American. You know, they're trying to get you. But anyways. So I'm riding in the BC taxi, and at this point, I'm like, oh my God, where is Diamond? Like, I hope everything's all right. How come he's not there? So I'm worried, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is just tragic. I felt so sad. And the funny thing is, the day before Cuba, we actually got into an argument, like a really bad fight, where I ended up, like, leaving wherever he was. And so I wasn't even sure if he was coming to Cuba or anything like that. Because I couldn't text him. And be like, hey, you know. Mm-hmm. So everything was just up in the air. Like, this is all to chance, the universe, everything. So I was like, let me just go back to my hostel and just, like, fall asleep and cry myself to sleep. Not really. But let me just go back to my hostel. So I'm riding in the BC taxi, and I'm, like, looking around, and I'm like, damn, I'm going to be in Cuba for all this time by myself. I might as well make the best of this shit. And so I'm rolling up, and I roll up to my hostel, right? And, you know, I'm looking fly. You know, my fly haircut. You know, my nice little, I had a halter bodysuit and, like, the skirt. You know, I was looking cute as fuck. Mm-hmm. And so I hopped out the BC taxi, and I looked to my right, and he was sitting, like, guys, just imagine you're, like, in the hot sun, someone driving you in a BC taxi, and you're looking around, and you pan to the right, and all of a sudden you see a familiar place in a country where nothing is familiar.
You mean a familiar face?
I said familiar face.
You definitely said place.
So yeah, no, like you just see a familiar face in a place where everyone was a stranger. No one spoke your tongue, your language. They understand because you have black skin, so you fit in, you feel at home, but at the same time, nothing is familiar. He's sitting there with his glasses and his hair and just looking at me all calm and shit. And I'm like, and all the guys, because I told you all the guys on the block was like, oh, in their heads you could tell, oh, she got somebody, because they saw me when I first came in, that first day I came in. And they were like, hey, bye, you know. And so I literally ran to him and I was like, like, for like, oh my God. It was like a reunion.
And that's the whole thing that I was bringing up as far as romance is concerned. Like, that story that a sister or a brother tells you, where you like, damn, that happened to you? And I don't know how many stories we have like that.
Yeah.
And I really would wish that we could cultivate more of those. And not that somebody gets married and they go away. I'm talking about like that instance where it's just like, I never thought that this could happen to me.
That's like a fairy tale. That's some Cinderella shit.
So, you know, we just bring it up as far as the myth of black romance because we would love to hear more stories about, you know, these things that have happened outside of somebody getting married getting a material thing.
Like the car, the Mercedes Benz.
Yeah.
A trip to Dubai, whatever the case is.
Even if it was just like a love letter or a pen pal that you had or something like that. You know, it's like these things really don't exist and everything is brought down only to the sex level. Those are the stories that you hear where people are like, damn, that happened to you.
I got dicked out last night. It was so good, or this happened, or that.
But what's the balance of that?
What was your perspective on my story?
I didn't think about it as much until I got back home. Because I was like, damn, that was some crazy shit. Like, I met this woman halfway across the world with nothing. With nothing. I didn't even know if you was going to be there. But I told myself I'll be willing to wait for you. For the whole time, I was like, yeah, I don't care how long it takes, I'll stay. So, y'all comment, like, share, do all of that, and let us know what y'all think about black romance being a myth, or even if it's not. Alright? Follow her at Kita.crew at Instagram, bro.diamond at Instagram. And in the meanwhile, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all December. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
I wanna get to know you. One chance to love, give me one chance to lie. Can I have you? One chance to love, give me one chance to lie.
Heartbeat make me feel young again. Can't beat 'em, just join the party. I don't need nobody. All that I got, pieces and pages, talking a lot. Sorry, I'm faded. Think I forgot. You love me.